a bit of motorway blocking or something like that with some big tractors might be on the cards. I don't know.
To have the rug taken out of our feet, we raise our children to keep going after us.
Just grow a set of balls and come out and see us.
I'm here in Westminster, where thousands of farmers have gathered to protest Labour's plans to place an inheritance tax on farmers. Currently, farms are exempt from inheritance tax, a policy which was intended to help an often unlucrative industry that bolsters the UK's food security. But under Labour's new plans, farms will be charged inheritance tax on all value over £1 million at a rate of 20%. This is less than the 40% rate for standard inheritances, and farmers will be able to pay it over 10 years interest-free rather than immediately. The Environment Secretary Steve Reed says this could raise over £200 million a year for services like the NHS. But it's a sudden and stark cost for family members intending to leave their farms to their children. And the response from British farmers has been severe.
I'm out here today to bring the attention to all the people that live on this island, and we are an island. God forbid there was a war, God forbid our ports were compromised in any way. Where would your food come from? Who's going to feed the babies? Who's going to feed the children? All the mothers that are having brand new babies, that if they're not breastfeeding, where's your milk going to come from? It'll be our dairy cattle that feed your babies. It'll be all our farmers that feed your families. Stick up for our farmers. Don't let them down, because you'll have no food. This country will have no food if you don't stick up for the farmers.
I think we just need to let the wider population know what's going on in the rural community and what this budget is going to mean for the rural community, not just for farmers, but everyone else who relies on the farm, whether that's Labour, whether that's the people who are being fed by the farm, and really the wider community, really.
Yeah, it's massively in the interest of the public as well to be out here. Like anyone that's buying food in this country, the prices are going to go through the roof if you have no farmers that are producing it in the country. So it's all going to have to come from imports, the question of quality produce, when you start importing that amount of food, is going to go out the window, really. We've got the highest welfare standards, like probably in the world, for producing food. So that's going to get forgotten about.
Farmers are needed, and farmers don't get a day off. They are born into servitude for the land, for farming, for producing food. It's what we do, and it's who we are.
Do you feel entirely unsupported by the Labour government as a farmer?
Totally. The farms will get smaller, they won't be able to support anything. They'll be covered in solar farms because everyone will need the money from their land. If they can't farm, we don't have money. We have land and livestock. To have the rug taken out of our feet, we raise our children to keep going after us. And that's what we need, recognition that it will change the face of England. There'll be none of us left.
I think a lot of people would look at farmers and farming families and say, well, if we're looking at people who have, millions of pounds technically of wealth, why are they in need of a tax break?
If your mum and dad were to die, you're already living in a home, you're already going out and doing your job. When I die and pass it to my boys, they are living on the farm, they are working on the farm. This isn't going to be additional money, so you would pay 40% inheritance tax, we would pay 20% over the limit. But actually that money has got to be found out of the home and the thing that is actually bringing that income into the home.
I think one of the things that's not realised is my uncle's farm it's a big enough farm, good plot of land near Driffield. It's valuable, but it's not like he has a lot of cash on him. He's certainly not got the capital needed to pay off inheritance tax when it comes in. It'll definitely be over the threshold, but it's not like he makes a huge amount of profit from that. And really, he's been a farmer all his life. He's a classic Yorkshire man, and it's the first time I've seen him stressed about a farm's been in our family for generations. It's his lifeblood. It's what his son's gone into, and he's genuinely concerned that that's going to be the end of that. They're going to have to sell it, and he's concerned it's going to be owned by corporations in the future, things that won't be privy to inheritance tax. They won't be taxed as much, but they won't be family farms, which has been the lifeblood of this country for millennia.
They're very naive on how they look at the values of farm and think, oh, well, we'll just attack a farm which, let's say, is £3 million or £5 million. They don't realise that actually it's probably only yielding 1 or 2%. So although it looks attractive and impressive, it's not for those who are genuine farmers.
This protest attracted an estimated 20,000 people, with many holding signage aimed specifically at Keir Starmer. Nigel Farage, who previously labelled the tax changes a disgusting attack, was also in attendance, receiving a warm welcome. And I spoke to one man who claimed this policy had turned him over to reform. So has this changed your opinion of the Labour government in any way?
100%. And I've a message to Starmer and Reeves. The people are going to come for you. They want their food. They want to feed their children. And behind those people is reform. And I think reform, and I've never voted reform before, but I would now, because I believe that they're going to be behind the people. So yeah, okay, farmers, reform, let's move forward.
Starmer rhymes with farmer. I don't think there's anything wrong with the guy. I think he's very new to the job, and I think he's got a lot to learn, and probably a lot to learn about farming and rural life sort of thing.
Has this policy changed the way you think about the Labour government or the Labour Party?
It's a difficult question, that, because you're the journalist, you know it's not exactly been easy riding for them for the 130 days they've been in. My uncle's only ever voted for Labour, so he's probably not exactly the kind of swing voter that you're interested in. There's one thing voting Labour and then not getting in. It's another thing voting Labour, them getting in, and the 130 days is a quick turnaround to do something so harmful for so many people. There was that whole thing about we're not going to increase taxes on working people. I think it's the hardest one to argue that a farmer isn't a working person in this country. I'll struggle to name you one farmer I know that owns a single share in anything other than their own farm.
This is just the start, really.
Well, that's actually something I wanted to ask about. Yesterday in France, there were farmers' protests where they were setting stuff on fire, as they often want to do. Do you think that there could be more severe protests?
I really don't know. I hope we don't have to do severe protests like they do in France, because it's not very positive to spread muck in Whitehall and so on. Someone has to clear it up, and someone has to get it there, and it costs money. So yes, I hope we don't have to do that sort of thing. I don't think I'd want to do that sort of thing. Maybe a bit of motorway blocking or something like that with some big tractors might be on the cards. I don't know.
What would be your message to Keir Starmer today?
Just grow a set of balls and come out and see us. Explain it in layman terms, and then if you've got it wrong, you've got it wrong. Put your hands up. The respect, if they've got the numbers wrong, the respect they would gain.
Do you think these protests could become more severe like they have been in France?
All the water companies in this country produce about the farmers ourselves take about 3.5 million tonnes of sewage sludge onto farms every year that we put onto the ground and plough it in to grow crops. Those companies have 2 days capacity of 3.5 million tonnes. Then you're really in the properly in the